From MTN Sports, this is Sean O'Malley, Road to UFC 306.
Hello and welcome to Las Vegas, Nevada. Tom Wiley here alongside Kyle Hansen. We're at the UFC Apex facility, and we're getting ready for UFC 306 at the Sphere here in Las Vegas, a one-of-a-kind event headlined by a one-of-a-kind athlete. Hell is Sugar Sean O'Malley. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll bring you all the sights and sounds of some of the things we've seen here in Vegas.
And most importantly, this fight is official because both Sean O'Malley and his opponent, Merab Dvalishvili, officially made weight for the bantamweight title on Friday, and they couldn't be more excited to finally go head-to-head after thinking about each other for so long.
UFC public press conferences have been known to get rowdy from time to time, but Thursday's was quite tame by industry standards. With a large and pro-O'Malley crowd in attendance, the Sugar Show took front and center.
Yeah, it feels good to be back in Vegas. You know, I've been counted out my entire career, and I'm still here. You know, bigger, better than ever. Feels good.
O'Malley and his opponent, Merab Dvalishvili, traded a few barbs, including a quick shot from O'Malley at Merab's teammate, who he initially beat to win the title.
Keep dreaming. Nobody knocked me out yet. Nobody. You don't knock out Chito Vera?
I did knock out Aljo, though, didn't I?
No, that was early stoppage, bro. I gotta help you. Come on. That was early. You lucky.
That was. I keep getting lucky. It's crazy. Every fight I get lucky. Somehow, some way, I get lucky.
Try with me. Same thing.
Other topics of conversation centered around the UFC's debut at the Sphere, but also the theme of Noche UFC. The event as a whole features a majority of Mexican fighters in honor and celebration of Mexican Independence Day, with many of them celebrating and hyping up the event, both as a one-of-one opportunity, but also for its cultural significance. Both O'Malley and Merab made weight Friday morning to solidify their title bout at the top of the card. And then, with the UFC Noche Sphere as the backdrop for the press conference and ceremonial weigh-ins, the week's festivities have begun to rise to a head in anticipation of Saturday night's fight. The Montanan is at the forefront once again, with his superstardom being viewed as potentially generational should the outcome go his way.
A lot of people believe that if you deliver a highlight reel finish on this stage, on this platform, that will catapult you into being the biggest superstar in the sport. Do you agree with that assessment, and how do you get it done?
That is accurate. And, I think I'm going to get it done the way I always get it done. I'm going to put this dude face first.
Well, pop quiz, folks. What did Taylor Swift, pop superstar, and Helen of Sean O'Malley, UFC champion, have in common? Well, Taylor Swift doesn't have a mean left hook, maybe no ground game. Sean O'Malley probably can't hit multi-octaves in his vocal range, but they do share a production team this week. The same production team that worked on the Eras Tour is working on UFC 306, headlined by O'Malley.
The Sphere is so special. The sound, the sights.
UFC President Dana White has called it the greatest sporting event of all time.
It's exactly what I had hoped for. I'm excited about it. I'm proud of it.
And on Wednesday, the UFC offered media a sneak peek at what's in store for the first ever live sporting event at this one-of-a-kind venue, with a panel of creative talent in charge of making it work.
At the UFC, we just don't say no. We really don't. There is always a way. Mm-hmm. We just couldn't. It was hard to figure out what that way was going to be.
Yeah. Here's what fans can expect. There will be 6 short films played between each fight of the main card, celebrating Mexico's independence and contributions to the combat sports world, produced by Hollywood director Carlos Lopez Estrada.
It was a cool challenge. I was just like, I want to tell a story about my culture and about my people and the largest screen in the world, and try to find the most exciting ways of doing it.
Then each fight will take place in a different world, projected onto the massive curved LED screen inside the arena.
They are essentially environments in which they'll house other content, the traditional pay-per-view fight content, features, walkouts, the fights themselves. So while they are also spectacular, they serve a purpose. And they have to be dynamic and responsive to live cues.
But the Sphere only seats 18,000 people. What will the experience be like for the millions of viewers watching the event on TV? To address that, the UFC hired Glenn Weiss, who's directed the Oscars for the past 8 years.
He loves the challenge of this thing, so he will be shooting both of those things at the same time to try to give you the feel that you are inside the Sphere, whether you're watching it at home, in a bar, or wherever.
The last piece of the puzzle was the fights themselves, and they turned to the biggest star in the UFC to headline the one-off event. and the Helena native is ready for the moment.
Dana gave me goosebumps just talking about it. Once he kind of showed me his vision of it, how much effort he's put into this, how much work the UFC and everyone's put into this, it really gives you a different perspective on how crazy of an event this is going to be.
Coming up, we caught up with Sugar Sean about events he did in Montana and much more. That's next on Road to UFC 306.
Welcome back to Sean O'Malley, Road to UFC 306.
Well, Wednesday here in Las Vegas was Media Day, where we got to meet with all of the fighters who will be participating on the UFC Noche card. Of course, headlined by Montana's Sugar Sean O'Malley, we got to ask him a range of questions, from what life as a champion is like, some recent visits he had to the Treasure State, and much more.
This is what I wanted, something like this. Obviously, we didn't know the Sphere was even a thing at those times, but I wanted one-of-one kind of moments, and this is it.
The UFC's one-of-one event at the Sphere in Las Vegas is built around Montana's own Sean O'Malley, the UFC bantamweight champ. In the first press conference of the week for UFC 306, O'Malley's star power took center stage, but with all of the pageantry surrounding the event, O'Malley's focus is on one thing.
The Sphere is going to be cool for everyone else but me. For me, it's tunnel vision. I'm walking to the cage. I'm doing what I have to do. I'll enjoy the show after. I don't let myself kind of think about all that.
O'Malley fielded a range of questions on Wednesday, from the Sphere to his drawing power, big boxing fights, Conor McGregor, and more. But also, the target is fully on O'Malley's back now that he's been champ for over a year, a mindset he's had before he even won the belt.
Before I was champ, I told myself I need to live like I'm the champ. As far as what I'm doing training, what I'm doing outside the gym, I need to live like a champion if I want to become a champion. So I've been doing it for a while. Train, recover, COD, train. It's a very basic lifestyle for the most part.
O'Malley also answered questions about returning to his home state of Montana a few times in the last year, from a celebration at both Washington Grizzlies Stadium in Missoula and at a Town Pump sponsorship event in his hometown of Helena.
It felt good to go back home and be celebrated. Montana's, I'm born and raised there. It kind of molded me as a fighter. It's funny just going to places like my hometown and seeing high schoolers stand in line to get a picture with me. Like I would have been standing in line to see someone that had made it from hometown. So I saw a lot of my younger selves in those guys. So yeah, it was cool.
It's a big stage for O'Malley on Saturday, one where he's ready to perform.
You get to go and perform under the UFC platform is a huge benefit. Like there's just no eyeballs anywhere else like the UFC. So for me to be able to go there, build myself from when I started to now, it's like every fight I become a little bit more popular. So it's a huge benefit doing that under the UFC.
Coming up, we introduce you to Sean O'Malley's opponent, Merab Dvalishvili. That's next on Road to UFC 306.
Welcome back to Sean O'Malley, Road to UFC 306.
Well, Merab Dvalishvili might be one of the most fascinating characters in both mixed martial arts and the UFC, but his backstory is as unique as it gets. We had a chance to catch up with him to learn about his journey to being on the doorstep of a UFC title.
It's impossible to question Merab's drive and willingness to battle through adversity. A native of the Republic of Georgia, Merab emigrated to the United States at the age of 21, and he moved to New York where he trained, but also worked as a construction worker to make ends meet.
Every day I was asking myself question, especially when I was at the work and working in the sun or in the snow, and I was still going to practice. I was still working hard.
It was tough balancing the two in a new country for the young fighter, and even though he cracked into the UFC in late 2017, Merab actually lost his first two fights. So the call to stop pursuing his dream was frequent.
When I think how tough life was up until 2019, 2020, I had so many challenges in my life, so many challenges, man, so many hard ways. Every day I was asking myself, should I continue or should I stop? Because maybe this is not for me.
But fortunes began to turn around in 2020 when Merab fought 3 times, all of which were victories. From there, he cracked into the bantamweight rankings and began to take down down contenders and multiple former champions as he ballooned his winning streak into 10 fights.
I get more fights in UFC, and I started making good money, and I quit my job, and I became full-time fighter, and I moved to Vegas, and I picked my immigration papers, and I can travel to my country or wherever country I want. Now I became citizen.
Merab's also built up a strong following on social media with quirky skits featuring a friend who looks like Sean O'Malley as he's connected with the fans. Most importantly, he doesn't take where he came from for granted, knowing his long, winding, and challenging journey has led him to the precipice of becoming a UFC world champion.
Man, a lot of things change, and I'm happy and I'm grateful for UFC fighters. Can sleep in my own house and support my family members, my friends, and inspire other people. And because I think I'm an example, if I did, they can do it too. Just keep dreaming and keep working for your dream, and everything is possible.
Coming up, we'll take a look at who might be the next UFC superstar from the state of Montana following O'Malley when the road to 306 continues.
Welcome back to Sean O'Malley, Road to UFC 306.
Well, Helena native Sugar Sean O'Malley is the first UFC champion from the state of Montana, but it begs the question, who will be the second and how long will we have to wait? Well, if you listen to Great Falls native Tommy McMillan tell it, it won't be very long.
It was like third grade when I really kind of started to tell people and kind of get the vision for myself, like, no, I'm going to be a world champion. I'm going to be in the UFC.
McMillan is knocking on the door of a UFC opportunity. He was scheduled to fight in Dana White's Contender Series earlier this month before a shoulder injury put his lifelong dreams on hold.
I had a good matchup against a really tough opponent that I really want to go out there and prove myself against. Everything was set up the way I wanted it, and to see it disappear that quick due to something I can't control, it's a very, very humbling experience.
The setback didn't alter his plans.
Like, I'm ready for the UFC. It's past due. I'm ready to get in UFC, take names, put on high-level performances, get the gold belt. I'm ready for all that. And it's just now a game of me being patient.
And it helps that he has people who walked the path he's on now in his corner. McMillan has trained full-time in Arizona with O'Malley and Tim Welch for 8 years and has learned how to carry himself like a champion.
See the level of discipline that these guys were living at, to become the martial artists they are, that was such a blessing. Take notes firsthand and really kind of forge my life to look like Tim and Shugs, the way they live their life, the way they're trying to better themselves in all aspects of life, reading books, stoicism, just being a very open-minded person.
And for their parts, Tim and Sugar have come to respect their protege.
Tommy McMillan, he's a stud. He's a 3-time state champion. He's got an endless gas tank, and now he's taking it very serious. So plan on definitely seeing him in the UFC pretty soon.
Yeah, Tommy's very durable, very skilled, good mindset, and I'm excited to watch his career play out.
McMillan competes for his fans and to give hope to kids like him who grew up in Montana and has further plans to give back in the future.
My end goal would be to have a gym in Great Falls, that like maybe I'm still living out here, but I visit it often. It's under my name. I oversee it. If I do everything I want to do in the sport, that's what's going to happen. Is there's going to be a facility in Great Falls, Montana, my hometown.
McMillan is chasing his dreams so that others can live theirs.
Success, of course, breeds success. And because Sean O'Malley and Tim Welch have achieved the pinnacle of the sport of mixed martial arts in the UFC, they've inspired a number of athletes and coaches back home in Montana.
The sport of mixed martial arts has always been seen as niche, underground, and taboo for the majority of its existence because of its violent nature. The creation of the Ultimate Fighting Championship has brought it more into the mainstream cycle, and with it, the rise of Montanan Sean O'Malley to world champion. Matt Powers has been around since the early days of Montana MMA. Powers was a longtime coach of Tim Welch, a Great Falls native who was O'Malley's head coach and best friend. Powers mentored Welch for years and has seen him grow into one of the rising and more influential voices voices in MMA.
I hear a lot that a father is the only one that can look at his kids and not feel a jealousy for their successes. I went down there and all I felt was joy because he worked for it. It's not like he woke up in the morning and it happened. He had years and years of putting in the time for them to get where they're at now, so it's a great story.
Recently, the two reconnected at Welch's Gym in Arizona, where Tim asked if Matt's son, Connell Powers, could come and spar one of their up-and-coming talents in Great Falls native Tommy McMillan. So, just a few weeks ago, the duo headed south to see how Sean and Tim make the magic happen.
The whole experience was kind of surreal. I grew up watching this guy on television. Tim, I always looked up to like an uncle. You know, he was always around when I was younger. And to see what they're doing with the sport, to get the UFC title, and then just being in that atmosphere, it was like a dream, truly.
While the Powers have been a staple in Montana's MMA community, the sport's popularity has been growing rapidly in the Treasure State because of Sean and Tim's influence. Missoula Kickboxing, of which Connell is head coach, is a first-hand example.
There's been a huge surplus of people coming in because to see some kid from Montana achieve the best achievement that you could accomplish, you know, in the sport, it makes people realize that you don't need super special coaches or anything. You don't need to be in a big city. You just need a good group of people and a vision and just relentlessly chase it.
Even in Sean's hometown of Helena, at the newly named Last Chance Grappling Club, which is one of the gyms where he began his career, those who compete look up to the Montanan and what he's accomplished.
It went from trying to inform people what this is, you know, like, no, you want to do this because it's, you know, you learn self-defense, but you also learn how to, you know, submit people, you learn discipline, to like them coming to you and being like, I want to do that, I already know what it is, you know, which was a big change.
I always have good memories of Sean. He was always nice to me, really nice to me as a kid. I remember going to his fights when I was little. Just seeing what he does in the cage is amazing. I mean, he's extremely creative, very creative fighter. It's very inspirational to see his come up.
Coming up, we'll introduce you to another member of the O'Malley family who fought and won a very hard battle of his own.
Welcome back to Sean O'Malley, Road to UFC 306.
When Sean O'Malley won the UFC Bantamweight Championship in 2023, it certainly made the entire state proud, and it certainly made his dad, Dan O'Malley, proud. But when we talked to Dan about his accomplishment, Dan says he might be even more proud of Sean's older brother, Michael, for fighting a very different kind of fight.
Michael O'Malley just got to Vegas after driving over from Arizona with his girlfriend and son to attend the press conference for UFC 306, where his brother Sean is the headliner.
Yeah, it feels good to be back in Vegas. You know, I've been counting out my entire career, and I'm still here.
It's a milestone event for Michael, who wasn't present for much of Sean's early career.
This is cool, because I missed all those high or on probation or drunk, you know, so this is cool. This is definitely cool. It's something I enjoy, so.
As a teenager, Michael's life took a turn. He spiraled into a decade of drug and alcohol abuse, including arrests for burglary and methamphetamine possession. It got so bad his younger brother mentally wrote him off.
Yeah, I thought that dude was definitely going to be dead. I lived in Arizona for like 8 years before he did. He was back in Montana, addicted to drugs, like way off from the deep end. And I thought that dude, I completely emotionally was not attached to him at all. Like I thought he was going to die.
I didn't really have much of a relationship with anyone in my family during that time. I kind of just kept to myself so I could do what I wanted to do. But there was ups and downs. There was times when I was homeless, and there was times when things felt really good, but it was a crazy life for sure.
But Michael had children of his own, and he knew he had to make a life change if he wanted to be present for his kids. So Sean offered him a place to stay in Arizona, and he began turning his life around with the support of his family.
Honestly, yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to. It was just something I had to do, more or less, because I had to do it so I could raise my son, or else I wouldn't have been able to. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I probably would not have wanted to change.
How could you be more proud of anybody than you are of Sean? And I said, I'm more proud of my oldest son, Michael, who overcame methamphetamine and alcohol addiction after 10 years. Michael and I's relationship's been restored. It's amazing. He's got 2 kids. I'm super close to the 2 kids, talk all the time on the phone. And him and Sean do a lot together now.
Today, Michael is in a good place, and the O'Malley family has enjoyed having their older brother back.
For him to get sober, move to Arizona, and like be a part of my life now is fucking it's inspiring, honestly, because addiction's no joke, and he's, you know, battles it every day, but he's winning, so it's cool to see.
There's times I think about it, but for the most part, my life's a million times better now. I got 2 years sober in November, and so, you know, life's good, life's better.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the road to UFC 306. The fight is just moments away here in Las Vegas, and of course, we'll have all of your coverage over on MontanaSports.com, whether that be pressers, photos, and more.
Yeah, you can relive all those moments at MontanaSports.com. And of course, see the outcome of the fight. We will bring you a recap once it is in the books. But for now, here in Las Vegas, I'm Tom Wiley, Kyle Hansen. Thank you guys for joining us on this road.